Welcome back, everybody. This is Trent and Aaron. We're just here talking and generally doing stupid stuff. This is going to be a good one. We just decided to get together. We've been doing kind of like the one-on-ones with, All About Peaches is coming out soon. And, Trent and I getting together now and talking about it. It's just some light riffing that we're doing. Just some extra content for you guys out here on the YouTube. So I want to say welcome to coming back to these early morning times where Trent and I both agree we look like absolute crap, except for one thing, our hair. Thanks. Outer Eggs pomade. Woke up, threw some Outer Eggs pomade in there, got the sea salt spray going. Hair looks fantastic. That's part of our hot takes for today, as we're gonna settle this issue about who has a better hair between Trent and I. Because I gotta be honest with you, I've had it. I've been using the Outer Eggs pomade for the entire deployment. Worked well downrange, stood up to the heat of Africa. I'm back home now, and I got to be honest with you, Trent. I'm coming for you. I've had it with this hot take of you having better hair than me. So
I didn't start it. It's not my fault. It's other people started it.
For the entire PJ community, I have to now take on this quest. You and I, you're my arch enemy now, or is it my nemesis? I guess you'd be my arch enemy. We'll figure out the difference between those two here in a little bit too. But I want to say thanks to everybody. Man, you guys are awesome. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about the podcast. Come out and check us out. We drop on Saturdays. Sometimes we get squirrely. We drop, in between on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, like this exclusive YouTube content on this beautiful football Sunday. So, man, just keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it. Like, follow, share, comment, get us out there. We appreciate you guys, especially if you like what we're doing. If not, then you can do it specifically to shame us. You can just be like, look at these dorks, but just leave us a nice review first. That'd be cool.
Yeah. So. Be like Aaron, hurt feelings before you even start the podcast. Start things angry. Tell me about how stupid I am.
Just right away. I believe the quote was, "Are you ready for this clap, you freaking idiot?" I think that's how friends talk to one another. They really support one another. Are you ready for this clap, you freaking idiot?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready.
It's my favorite one. So, we kind of had the idea for this one where we're just going to get together. I got a bunch of hot takes. I put a question up on the Instagram. I had some hot takes of my own that I wanted to talk about. And here's how we're going to do this. We'll just, we'll come up with a hot take and we'll discuss it, for a second to make sure that we understand what we're talking about here, like what the hot take is. And then one of us is going to defend it and one of us is going to approve of it. And we're gonna have a talk, and we actually started off with a really, really good one. It was about quiet professionals on the page, and I even put it on the story, and I was like, "Why did you put quiet professionals in quotes? What is your deal here, my dude?" And they came back on to explain themselves, and they were basically like, "Hey, I get that the book thing isn't the best, and everybody makes fun of the SEALs for having books, and everybody is sitting there going, oh, you'd want to be a quiet professional and you don't want to put yourself out there. But I think we both understand, like, there's some recruiting that needs to happen. There's some storytelling that needs to happen. Like, those stories have to get out there. So hot take number one, books or no books. And which one? I'll you know what? Your choice, Trent, with the second place hair on the podcast. What would you like to defend or would you like to attack that position?
But first place on the internet, just throwing it out, like, anyway.
The quiet professional angle as we sit talking on our podcast. I get the irony. I understand what is happening right now. Like, I get it. I understand the assignment. I am just saying.
Well, if we could get more Air Force people to start podcasts, then like the joke could be SEALs write books, Air Force people do podcasts.
Yeah, that'd be way better. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
There.
Okay. And then we could just pretend the Army doesn't exist because those dudes can barely, write. I don't know what they do.
I can't wait. My Army brother downstairs right now. I'm gonna go downstairs and be like, hey, we covered a lot of ground on the podcast. Also, you can't read, so have a great day.
They're like, our ops are so black. I'm like, that's just because you just filled up the page with your pencil because you didn't know what you were doing. You got bored in the meeting.
Well, it's like the meme. It's like you got Bobby outside the window and he's like, the Army is stupid, and his father's bemoaning him, saying, hey, listen, if those kids could read, they'd be very upset with you. I think we've gotten off track. I think it's like hot take, is the Army stupid? I don't know if we've evolved into that, but
I'll defend the books.
Right. Feel free. Give me a good reason why books are okay then.
Well, speaking of like the recruiting piece, when we look at the numbers, the SEALs are having a much easier time bringing people in the door because of their popularity. And I'm not saying it's all about the books. It's a lot of other things, but they're really good at taking credit for anything that they're involved with. Except for that thing that happened a long time ago. Not taking credit for that. Wow, that another hot take.
Yikes.
Like we just can't stop.
We're just opening it up. Listen, if we're gonna talk frag grenades and reporters, we can. It's just a hot take. It's super sensitive.
Should we say like this one is not sponsored by the DoD or this does not represent the the Air Force is not.
I think it's pretty apparent. I think when us two idiots start talking on these microphones, everybody just buckles up. Like right now, somewhere there's like an area defense council attorney that is getting a phone call right now and be like, "Hey, something is happening. You need to get to work." What's happening? I don't know, but I can feel it.
Bro,
this is not good.
Yeah, these E8s are out of control. But I'm just saying, like they put it out there, and yeah, we all poo-pooed it for a long time, and but they're not having a problem with the numbers. So I can go out there all day long and be like, SEALs are idiots for writing all these books, and they shouldn't be doing that, and telling everybody about what they do. But the fact of the matter is they got kids lined up their doorstep trying to join the ranks. Now, I can't speak on the other side of it. All positives. So there's the positive side.
Okay, well, take this, you idiot, because I'm going to destroy your position. I totally get what everybody's saying about the books, right? Like, I get it. You don't want to self-aggrandize. You don't want to put yourself out there to make it seem like you've done things that you haven't done. Like, everybody shies away from that. I get what the quiet professional part of it is. And there is a part, like, when you're starting to write fiction books about your time in, and including like love stories and stuff, because those books are out there too. There's a couple books that are out there that have like questionable plot lines that are loosely based off of stuff that we do. So of course not. And of course there's been multiple different books that have went out there that didn't get properly approved, that had tactics, techniques, and procedures, which are TTPs, and they had other sensitive things in there. You obviously can't put sensitive stuff on there. You obviously cannot write a book and then have the American military or individuals pay a penalty because you wanted to write yourself a book. So I hate books. No books. They're terrible. I don't really feel that way, but it's the way that we're doing the show. I have to defend or attack it. So there you go.
I think you did a good job there. I was just going to say it also, if that's what's bringing the kids in the door, that's also going to perpetuate that culture of people wanting to do it for clout.
Yeah. Yeah, the cloud thing is always a problem. But if you look at it, the same people that are screaming about, "Oh, look at this guy, he's a quiet professional," it's the same meme page that puts out and does stuff specifically seeking attention, just in a different medium. It's like they didn't write a book, they didn't go through a publisher, but they made their mean cartoon, and then they're like, "Oh, these guys need to be quiet professionals." Shut up. Just shut. How about a hot take? How about you're not allowed to have? You have to connect your physical name. Like your name, no more anonymous screen names. You sign up for an online profile, guess what you got to do? You got to verify it with your name. That's not even a hot take. That's just a look how poo-poo everybody would be about having to sign up and actually talk behind their real name. Imagine.
I just don't think they'd be so comfortable with. I love the memes. We've already talked about it. Memes are what got us through the great pandemic of 2020.
The great lockdown. We're in day like 545 of 15 days to flatten the curve. My favorite part about this time is when they're locking Australia completely down and beating people in the streets over COVID. Really? Freedom? Yeah. Have you heard of it? Jeez, get out of here.
It's called Texas.
Oh, yeah, it is called Texas, the greatest state in the nation. I'm going to Florida for a vacation. It's not really a vacation; it's a family event. So,
it's
whole,
like work.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's the Panhandle, so you never get away from it. I was like, my mom started getting this trip together, and she was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to Florida." I'm like, "Oh, last free state in the nation, perfect. Either there or Texas. Where are we going?" Like, I was laughing.
She's like, Destin.
Exactly.
Like, son of a.
Exactly. She was like, "Yeah, we're going to. It's really nice. It's on the Panhandle." And I was like, "No." She's like, "Yeah, it's right outside of Navarre." I was like, "No." Yep. Okay. Here we go. Couldn't go to the Atlantic side. Couldn't go to somewhere in the Cocoa Beach area, the India Atlantic. No. Okay. Cool.
No. Where all your bros are. Just go where your bros are.
That's it. I can't wait to go out to dinner with, extended aunts, uncles, nieces, and just see a bunch of operator off-duty goons clogging up the bar. Just like, sorry, guys. Sorry.
Yep.
But anyway, so we were talking about the freedom that is missing in some of these other places. The recall with Gavin Newsom didn't go so well. I thought Larry Elder would do good things out there, but it's a wild time. It's a wild time watching the stuff come out. I don't know what got me off on this tangent. I think just talking about Australia and COVID in general. I don't know.
I brought up the lockdown and memes. We started with memes.
That's where it was.
Now we're
on
straight into politics and all this
straight
other
up
stuff.
Politics. I feel like this is a good time to bring it up too. Trent, can you just real quickly tell us your feelings on religion and then how much money you make? We're going to get all this stuff out of the way. It's like 15 minutes into this one. Let's just burn it to the ground. Peaches is going to wake up and he's not going to have a podcast. He's going to be so mad at us.
I mean, but will he be surprised is the better question. He'll be like, well, I knew this day was coming.
He's traveling today. Talking to him last night, like trying to get it together for this morning. He was just like, oh, I'm traveling. You could actually hear in the text message, you could hear the relief in the words. Like, no, I'm traveling. And really what he meant was, oh, thank goodness. I can't wait. When these guys get counseled, I'll be able to not be a part of it. I'm excited about it. All right.
Yeah.
Hot take. Operational hot take. Here we go. We are not going back to Afghanistan.
I think that's incorrect.
I think it's incorrect too. I don't know how we have opposing
how do we
views
define
on this one.
How do we define we? Because if you define we as like the greater white side of the military, do I think that the Marine infantry or Army infantry are going to reinvade Afghanistan? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so either.
But do I think that you and I know people that will be there again?
That are right.
I'm trying to.
Well, and it's and it's a hard thing to talk about too, because people do blur those two lines a crap ton, right? Like they're like, oh well, we're never going back to Afghanistan. People like you and I are like, well, maybe think about it. Maybe think about who you mean when you say that we are not going back. Like I think we might. I think we might. I think you're also right though. I think a big time, full on invasion where multiple like brigades of dudes are holding down swaths of Afghanistan. I don't think so. I think you're right there.
Well, if we talk about the next war and the great power competition and all that other stuff, as soon as we left, other people that we talk about all the time started moving in there. So when we talk about like nuclear powers, we talk about Pakistan and India and China and Russia. Like there's a place where all those people kind of meet to do stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you talk about natural resources and the fight of the future and all that other stuff. Like
yeah, the rare earth metals is the big problem in Afghanistan now, and I think we're broaching into like BK actual territory. Like, oh, what's up, BK? You know what? I don't know when he's coming on the podcast, but I'm going to give him multiple rashes of shit because I've been talking to him about coming on for I don't know how long, and then we keep missing each other on the schedule, and I keep berating him every time we do. So, the rare earth metals and the fact that China immediately we didn't even have everybody out yet, and China was just like, no, the Taliban's totally cool. What's up, guys? What's up on these rare earth metals? Do you guys know that this is made? These things make batteries for electric vehicles, and you have the most of them. Crazy. Anyway, what's
must
up?
Be cool. Yeah, we're cool, friends, right?
We're cool, right? We've always been cool. So I don't know, man. I think we'll see, and I think there is people romanticize Afghanistan a lot, and it's why it's never been conquered in a land war since Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great stalled in Afghanistan. You don't get into a land war in Asia. One of my favorite movies, The Princess Diaries. Princess Bride.
We'll go with that. Let's go with that. The first one.
Hot take, my favorite movie is The Princess Diaries. It's been a good one. I love it. I can't wait to put that out. I'm making it my own specific reel for this. Princess Diaries. Go look it up. But
also, don't go up against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Never bet a Sicilian when death is on the line. Inconceivable. I just don't think we go back in any real sense and take and hold land. Like we might, but I think it'll. If you just look at Iraq and Syria and how we went back in, to Iraq and Syria, look completely different. Like people aren't tooling around Iraq and holding huge areas of land in Iraq right now and doing daily presence patrols and stuff. That's just not what we're there to do. And I think that's the big gripe about Afghanistan too, is everybody's hanging their hat on, well, we don't want to be in this forever war. Listen, we had 2,000 people there. We had 2,000 people holding, essentially with a threat, like, hey, if you screw around with this, like, we are going to come in and we're going to blow you all up. Like, that's just what we're going to do. Now go about your business, right? And that seemed to work for a while, and we hadn't even lost. We'll have to fact check me on this one, but I want to say we hadn't lost an American service member in 2021. Like, we went.
Yeah,
we went since like 2020 was the last combat related death in Afghanistan. Before
we made the deal to
out.
leave, right? And then the Taliban was like, okay, we'll be cool until you guys leave.
Yeah.
And then up until that last little bit.
Yeah. So crazy. So I don't know what that looks like. I think we'll always have a presence there. There'll be people that are there. But as far as, the original hot take, like, hey, we're not going back to Afghanistan, I think it looks completely different. I think it just looks, going back is going to look different. I think we'll have a presence there, but I think that's probably about as much as it goes.
The SecDef is going to watch this and be like, oh, that's what you think? And we're going to invade just to prove us wrong. We'll be like, listen, you guys think you got great hair? Guess what? We're going back in today.
General Milley has not been having a good go of it lately. He's been in the news a little bit, but it's funny. It would be funny that he would redeploy everybody to Afghanistan to spite a mildly successful niche podcast. Like, that would be my favorite thing of all time. Aaron and Trent got together and they were saying some dumb stuff about not going back to Afghanistan. Let's deploy everybody. Let's get everybody out there.
Yeah. All E8s in the Air Force are going today. No support.
Solid. It's okay. I screw up more stuff than I should be able to be in charge of anyway. So it's totally good. Yeah. So, and it seems like a good time too. We get this question a lot, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. So without Afghanistan, with those overseas assignments, kind of, waning or trickling off, or, maybe nothing really on the horizon right now, which, by the way, I think is a good thing. I think we need a little bit of time to take a knee and reset and figure out what's going on. But, with all that stuff out of the way, the main question that we get on the DMs all the time, okay, well, what are we doing now? Okay, well, then what now? What do I do now? You know what I mean? Where do you think that why is for people coming in? Like, because I know what I tell people all the time. I'm having a conversation on DMs right now where somebody's asking me specifics about this thing or that thing, and really the overarching question is like, hey, I want to get in, and in this case, he wants to be a controller. Like, I want to get in, I want to be a JTAC, I want to drop bombs, I want to go do the JTAC controller job, and I see you smiling, but like I started off with like, hey man, maybe reframe what you want to do. Maybe think about what it is that we're getting into here, because I don't know if that's the thing.
I think we lost sight, or the general public lost sight of what SOF is supposed to do over the last 20 years. I think SOCOM exists to prevent large-scale conflict. And so for our generation and all the people that joined to go fight a war and very openly fight a war and to do all these things, understand that before that, it's not that we weren't going places and doing things, the SOF community, like we were everywhere, but the job is not to necessarily meet the large force face to face and to drop bombs and to shoot them and kill them and all that other stuff. I don't think it means that we're going to stop deploying or doing other things. It's just going to look a little bit different, and it'll look a little more like it did prior to 9/11. Going out there and working with those host nations and all those other people and getting them to do the stuff that we want to do, and then maybe taking a little bit of a kinetic or non-kinetic action in a very specific way at certain times to keep situations from boiling over. I think that's what we do. So if you can't like read between the lines and see and think that that's cool, then I don't know what to tell you. Join the infantry and wait for a big ground war to break out again that I'm not seeing right now.
And that's a funny thing. It's really, really hard to explain, right? Like it's hard to explain to an 18-year-old today that's like, well, I mean, do you guys go and do you guys like kick indoors? Because they've just been inundated their entire lifetime. They've been inundated with 2-minute sizzle reels of dudes going into compounds and clearing and doing CQC and shooting people and all this other stuff. Like that's all they've ever seen from the military. So when people would ask us, they were like, oh, well, do PJs kick indoors? And I'm like, I hope not. What has happened? what has happened that I need to kick this door? And like, what's going on? Hopefully it never gets to that. I'd like to go in, do my job surreptitiously, get out, and be clean on the back end. That's the goal, is to get home and just be like, oh man, we can just You guys want to go to the bar? Like, mission's over. And I think you're totally right. I think people completely lost sight of what it is, like how you're supposed to use SOF. Because when this war kicked off, there was, we affectionately use the term, 90s PJs or 90s SOF operators. And it's those guys that kind of missed all those big conflicts and the world. There was a couple things, Black Hawk Down happened in 93, and there were a couple things here and there that would pop off, like bigger missions that would pop off here and there, but they were handled covertly. And just like you said, like they were there to prevent a large scale shooting war. Well, then 2001 happened, and every SEAL team, every operator, every ODA, everybody that could get a piece of that pie was like, I'm going to war. I have spent the late 80s and the early 90s up until now doing nothing, just training and doing these JSETs and M2Ms and whatever else. And people were all about it. And I get it. I totally understand like why we went so hard into it. But I think you're right. I think a paradigm has shifted where people think that sort of, the urban patrolling door to door, kicking indoors and shooting people, like that's not a thing. This is not, France in 1944. You know what I mean? Like there is no running gun battle across an entire continent to where you can just go, they're wearing the other uniform. We should go shoot them. So it is funny that you mentioned that, but I don't know how many times I've said that. Am I going to get to kick indoors? Dude, go to the Ranger Regiment.
Yeah.
Go to the go. They are. If you want to cordon call out and hang your hat, I'm up here. Everybody knows I'm in the Pacific Northwest. I'm up here with Money Bat. What's up, two boys? 2nd Battalion Rangers is up here, and those dudes get the fuck after it. They get after it. And when you look at 3rd Bat, like fun fact, who has more high value target capture kills as an organization than anybody else in the world in GWAT? The Rangers, specifically 3rd Bat. Those, if you want to go be the premier light infantry DA raid force, go to the Rangers. I'll tell you straight up. But if you want to do some other stuff, and I think the other stuff, and when we talk about special activities, I think that's where all of SOF is moving. If you want to do those special activities, you really want to get in deep into some really, really interesting stuff and have a really high impact. I think SOF is the place for you. So, but yeah, good hot take there. I think people do misunderstand what SOF is used for.
Well, and I think that when it ties back to quiet professionals, right? Because before the current wars or the wars that just ended ish, Iraq and Afghanistan, what would you write a book about? You couldn't. Like, you would legit get in trouble for any of that stuff.
Legit. Yeah, Dick Marchenko. I mean, when he wrote his SEAL Team 6 book, and when I'm blanking on the guy's last name, Dalton, he wrote the first book about CAG. He wrote that first book about the unit in North Carolina, the Army unit. People freaked out. They lost their minds. The fact that they would even, for the longest time, like, people laugh at like the whole Delta thing, but like, I grew up in a time where people would get mad at you for saying Delta. People would get mad at you. You're like, you don't say the D-Boys unit out now. You'd be like, what are you talking about? It's just, how are you supposed to know that you're going to go assess for these guys on? How are you supposed to know what missions they do? How do you, and that is a good thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. There were colors that you weren't supposed to say in certain conversations,
task
right?
Force colors. It was so great, and you couldn't assign. Like, it was even worse. You were allowed to say the color, right? You're like, who you with? I'm with white. But you weren't allowed to associate who white was. Like, you weren't allowed to say like what service it was, and you weren't allowed to say what you were doing. You're like, who you with? Green. Cool. I'm with white. Get out of here. It was the dorkiest. It was like the dumbest thing, but. Now unless you have like a .1, like you have to have a task force, and that task force has to have a .1. What task force you with? 153. It's not very cool. What task force you with? 15.1. Oh, what's up? What are you guys doing? You guys how many nights a week you guys go out? You guys go out 3 nights a week?
You guys need a little help.
Week, huh?
A little help.
Yeah, you guys. You guys need any Air Force suits? How many PJs you got? You got none? Huh? Well, let me talk to my boss. Yeah, so I think that's a really nuanced way to look at it too. Is before 2001, before Jawbreaker came out, and the books kind of came out, like Not a Good Day to Die was kind of like an early war book. I remember reading that from Sean Naylor. It was specifically about Jawbreaker and Jason Cunningham. Sean Naylor is an Army guy that writes for the U.S. Army Times, but he ended up putting a book out early time. But I remember those first couple books. and just being shocked. Like, holy crap, look at all this stuff that we're doing. If you want to read about, special activities and where we're going, pick up Jawbreaker and read about the CIA prior to Afghanistan kicking off for real and the work that they were doing in Afghanistan and to start that whole thing. And absolutely outstanding book. But yeah, I think you're totally right. I think people have completely and totally forgotten, what is SOF for. SOF is a surgical tool meant to do very, very specific tasks. And I think we've gotten away from it a little bit. So, hot take. I think you're right. All right. One beret is fine. I don't care about the color. Just put it out. We're all going to be okay. Hot take. I don't. This thing, the hat discussion with me always cracks me up. I don't care. I really don't. I know I'm gonna get in trouble. Like, sorry, PJ friends, for saying it. Like, I love the maroon beret. It'll always have a spot in my heart. But that's not what makes me a PJ. So I don't care what my uniform. We've changed uniform 10 times. Nobody cared about the uniform. Nobody.
No, you have to wear your uniform with the hat and all your badges, so I know who you are and what you're capable of.
Exactly who you are. Right away. Yeah, nobody felt this way when we changed from woodland camo to the ABU. Like, nobody was just those woodland camos are dope.
I was pretty upset.
They were. Well, so here's the thing, boys and girls. Story time with Uncle Trent and Uncle Aaron. So back in the day, there used to be woodland camos, and they were green. What was the base color there? It was like green, black, and brown, right? Like your just normal woodland camo. The problem, though, is that in the infinite wisdom, the Air Force took that and you had a garrison uniform and you would sew like patches on it. Like, you would sew your unit symbology onto the pockets and then sew the pockets down and make it so the pockets didn't work anymore. And then you would starch the living crap out of it. And those creases had been like, I remember your collar had to be like perfectly just flat and board stiff. And if you like the uniform games that we used to play, like that's one of the only real memory I have from basic training is shining boots and like trying to make my uniform look good. And I did that for years of my life. It's fantastic.
No, but I mean, what I get from that is people ruin the uniform. Mm-hmm. No, this is gonna sound super elitist, but people that don't go out and do stuff in the designated combat uniform, mm-hmm. You should be wearing blues. All right, because don't be wearing the combat uniform and then one chucklehead is like, hey, I know that the reg says that I'm not supposed to starch it.
I need a ped pocket. You know what I need? Boy, this crease would look a lot better if I could just put a ton of like stitching in it. It's a thing called Stitch Witch. It keeps my pockets down.
Look, if you're in an office, just put your blues on. Wear your shirt and wear your pants. Stop starching the crap. Like the first time I see some, because I think it's already happening with the multicams or whatever we call them, the OCPs.
Come on, really?
You know what's going to happen. And everybody's sewing their stuff on now. And
the sewing, that's the thing I never understood either. Like, we had a bunch of dudes up here. They were like, yeah, you can either sew it on or you can just use the Velcro. And I was like, yeah, perfect. Just Velcro. Just put whatever you want there. Then if you don't need it, you can just take it off. There were so many dudes that ran out to get it sewn on. I'm like, why would you get that sewn on? That doesn't make any sense. But the answer, as always, this is a garrison uniform. I don't care. I wear it when I'm in the office. I'm just like, ugh, guys.
Yeah.
It's not the point. It's not the point, boys.
Hey, fun fact. I throw my stuff in the laundry with the Velcro stuff still attached.
You're one of
and
those
it comes
people.
out, and it's just fine. It all stays attached, and it shrinks at the same rate, and it fades at the same rate, so like it's fine.
Rate. So you don't have these like bright uniforms and dark name tapes and rank. That's my favorite of all time. It's like when my other favorite of all time is seeing a guy with mismatched top and bottom. Because it's obvious he just wears the pants all the time and never takes just leaves his top in his desk or whatever. Hilarious. All right, let's see some more hot takes here. This is a good one that I got from the Instagram, and I just want to talk about it because it's just mean. TACP are just Army controllers. That's just hurtful. I don't really have a take there. It's just mean. It's just a mean thing to say. Somebody said TACP guys and girls are just controllers, but for the Army. And I was like, well, you're not wrong. It's not the most brilliant take I've ever seen anybody make in my life, but I just wanted to talk about it because they can't swim, and I wanted to be mean to the TACP guys. That's it.
Oh, poor TACPs. JT's gonna get really upset about this.
He doesn't care. JT, did you see him and his weight loss? JT is more worried about fitting into medium shirts than he is about what we say about TACPs on this podcast.
I know. It's hard. Like, he looks good, though. I'm just saying.
Look good. I think that's probably the part of it about it that makes me the most upset is he really does look good. And it's a little bit of jealousy. The guy looks great.
Before it was like, oh, like he's a chubby dude, but he's got all this other stuff. I'm like, well, at least like he's the chubby guy.
Right, he's the
and now
funny
he's
guy.
gonna come back and be like funny, successful, and like trim and handsome.
Good looking,
like,
too.
bro.
Like, right, exactly.
No.
What are we supposed to do? Like, I don't
JT, get back in your lane.
Get back in your lane, JT. This one's for you, Jared Taylor. You piece of crap. Quit doing so well. I did text him too. I texted him a while ago, and I was just like, this is gonna come off as emotional and stupid, but I do love you. You're doing great things. I'm so proud of you. Whatever. I guess there's the hot take, is I'm in love with Jared. I don't care.
I don't care who knows it.
I don't care who knows. I don't have a mountain. I just have this podcast and this microphone, which I hope sounds better this week. I don't know why. My audio levels were low, but they sound better now. They sound good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's all I had for the. Oh, this is a good one. If you didn't serve in GWAT, you don't count.
Who said that?
I'm going to keep their name anonymous, and it was essentially, I boiled down. It was a much longer conversation that we were having, but essentially, have you heard that before? Have you heard dudes that just think GWAT was the absolute heat, and that everybody after them is now lesser for doing so?
I've fallen into some of the same traps, right? Looking around at people and like it's hard not to do sometimes.
Oh yeah.
They'd be like, and you meet pre 9/11 guys. It's like, what did you do? They're like, well, we advised and assisted a whole bunch of people and went on all these cool trips.
And you're like, dork,
nerd, get out of here. Like, oh, you went through a pipeline, cool, man. Like,
I went TDY for my whole career and never shot my rifle in war.
Yeah. I'm like,
it's the I don't understand why we have to be so mean to each other, but we all do it. Like, I've seen Vietnam guys do it. Like, one of my favorite parts about the schoolhouse, the PJ schoolhouse, was we'd have family day. So you'd have, I think it was the morning of graduation. So it was like the family day brief was then Friday morning or something. But you'd have the entire family come in, and you'd have Vietnam era, PJs, Army guys, whatever that would come in. And it was hilarious, and it always made me upset, but I get it now. I understand it a little bit better now, but they'd be like, oh, with all this lightweight equipment and with all this stuff that you guys get, I could be operating right now. And I'm like, first of all, guy, no, you could not. Second of all, thank you for your service. Vietnam must have been extremely hard. Can't even put myself in that brain space. Don't even know how to do it. But also, no, you could not. So it makes me really upset. But the vet community, we do it to each other all the time over the GWAT thing, and I don't get it.
Yeah, hot take. There are two vet communities online, and one is toxic and terrible, and one of the worst things that's ever been invented or created. And then there's the other side, which is amazing. That's trying to bring everybody up. Yeah. We're all homies, and I don't care what you did necessarily. Like, I'm gonna make fun of you. Sure. Like, if you were support, like, and you want to talk cool stuff, but like, you can make fun of me too, because like I and coming up as like a weather guy, like, you can say almost whatever you want to me, and it's not going to bother me. Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, me too, because number one, I'm too stupid to probably get that you're making fun of me. I'm like a dog. Any attention is good attention. Like, oh, Aaron, you're stupid. Oh, I am stupid. Oh, let's talk. You want to go to lunch? They're like, no, we hate you. I'm like, oh, okay, anyway.
You just show up at lunch anyway where they're at. You're like, hey guys,
where are you going to lunch? I didn't know you were coming to this Jimmy John's. Aaron, you were in the room. You heard us talking about it, and then you showed up. Okay. You guys want to sit at the table? Yeah. I just don't understand it. Again, the whole GWAT thing, I get it. It was a formative time but like, people, it completely changed. How many people fought in Afghanistan? Is it like 300? It had to be more than 300,000. There was a number floating around of how many people actually deployed to Afghanistan. And for those people, whatever it is, we'll say 1 million people. I don't know. For those people, it completely changed their lives. It may have, permanently injured them. It may have, they lost friends. They lost, sons, daughters, wives, husbands. I get it, man. Like, I was there. I've got my ribbons and medals from the GWAT era. I get it, but I just don't think it was the end all be all conflict for which everybody to judge everybody by, or especially my favorite part about that, speaking specifically about that toxic meme, not toxic meme culture, but the toxic, mill culture, is those dudes that deployed one time. Like they got in, they were on a 4-year tilt. They get in on a 4-year contract. They deploy one time. They come home, and that's been their personality since 2008. Just talking about GWAT and talking about
once a Marine, always a Marine. Okay, don't forget it. Air Force, Chair Force nerd.
I always love that too. The inter-service rivalry jokes never really get me wound up because I don't care. I hate the Air Force more than you hate the Air Force, and it's not. I love my job. I love doing what I'm doing, but your boss always sucks. You can always sit here and be like, oh, if you think I'm gonna go, no man, the Air Force is awesome. You know who sucks? It's the Army who sucks. Congratulations, everybody. Get in the mud pit. I'm dragging everybody down. Guess what? The Army sucks, but they suck worse than the Air Force sucks.
Dang. I mean, that is kind of how we started off this whole podcast, was talking shit about the Army.
Pretty much was, for whatever reason too. I don't know. Again, I don't have any bad feelings about anybody. I have 3 little brothers in the Army. I have zero bad things to say. They're all good people. They're good people. But it's just, it's funny. It's funny to sit here and go, oh, the Army can't read. The Marines eat crayons. I don't know where that came from. Hilarious. One of my favorite hokey running military jokes is that the Marines love crayons.
Dude, my next door neighbor, he moved away, but he was a retired Marine, and I'd have my daughter take crayons over to him, and he loved it. He thought it was the funniest thing ever.
He thought it was the funniest thing. That's awesome. Here, take him this yellow one. Tell him it's lemon flavored. He'll love it.
She's like,
that's my favorite. Yeah. That's my favorite joke too. Here's a hot take for you. Conor McGregor is going to have some sort of actual career in the future. I'm not talking boxing. I'm talking he's going to be relevant in the MMA space when he comes back from his ankle injury. I cannot get there at all. I think Conor McGregor is done. He's a sideshow attraction. When you're throwing drinks on the red carpet at a rapper, at Machine Gun Kelly of all people, because he wouldn't take a picture with you or whatever led to that, you are insane. Like, what are you doing? Go to the gym. Go fight. Get back in the octagon. What are you doing right now?
But when I first saw the headlines and they were like, Conor McGregor gets into a fight with MGK, I had no idea what they were talking about. I'm like, what?
No clue.
What is this?
What is an MGK? Like, and I am in that. Like, I know who MGK is. It was one of those things where it's like, what? Are you making an AI robot and you told him to make a headline that doesn't make any sense? And now here it is. Like, it's just random words. It was wild.
Yeah, I think Conor did one of the most incredible things that anybody's ever done in MMA, right? Like, his run to the top was, if you weren't on that hype train, I don't know if you even have like a personality or a soul or a heart or whatever.
Yeah.
It was hard not to be on that hype train. But like the candles that burn brightest or whatever, burn fastest type scenario.
It's a beautiful sentiment.
I don't know. If I don't
too close to the sun, Conor McGregor, you're my.
If I don't throw hippie stuff into our podcast, I don't know what I'm here for. Right, honestly. Exactly. But yeah, I just don't think that he has the drive or the motivation or really the skill set anymore to compete with the guys at the highest level.
And that's going to be hard. And I will say the only people that are harder to deal with than Conor McGregor fans are people that insist they've always hated Conor McGregor. Like, no, you didn't. Everybody was watching him. Everybody watched that clip of him looking at Joe Rogan and be, where's my second belt? I'd like to apologize to absolutely effing nobody. One of the greatest shit-talking episodes of all time. And the fact that he came up off of it, like, the lead up, he's like, I've been talking real hard to everybody in the back, and I just want to say, I want to take the chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double belt champ does what he wants. Fantastic piece of shit talking.
Didn't they run in the back and swipe one of Demetrius Johnson's belts because they just didn't respect him at all?
I don't know what the story is, but the fact that that's the first thing that he wanted, he's like, you better have that second belt ready, and everybody was just like, Dana White in the back, just like, give me another belt.
Like, DJ, and he's like, I'm one of your best champions.
I'm a company guy. I love the UFC.
Like, shut up, you're going to Japan. Give me the belt.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Conor. Like, I don't, the celebrity boxing thing, fine. Jake and Logan Paul, there's obviously a lane for it. There's obviously a space for it. People obviously watch it. I'm not paying for it. Like, I'm not buying pay-per-views to watch a fight. I will pay attention, though. If a link happens to show up in my DMs of maybe a streaming service where I don't have to pay for, maybe I click the link, maybe I don't. Not today, OSI.
100% hypothetical.
100%.
You can't prove it.
If the same people that are waiting on us saying something in order to enact our downfall, if they're still here, 45 minutes later, good on you, because we have not talked about anything. We have literally just BS with each other. If you're still listening, congratulations, you win.
It's a personal conversation. What are you guys doing listening in on this? I don't know.
Joke's on you, Trent. I'm not recording anything. This isn't going to be a podcast. This isn't going to be a podcast. This is just a Zoom between me and you. I just wanted to get up early. I wanted to talk to my friend Trent. It's a Browns Sunday. Browns 0-1. Came off the Chiefs game. They're playing Houston today. I just really wanted to get this day started. Get this day started real good.
I wish I cared about football more so I could say something pithy right now, but
you don't.
I just don't know anything.
Just make fun of the Browns. Being a Browns fan is attention-seeking behavior anyway. Like, you just want people to feel bad for you, I think, at this point. But
I just talk smack about the Cowboys in Texas, and that gets me all the attention I need.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. Well, America's team, the Cowboys fan base is also absolutely terrible. Did you see videos of Las Vegas Stadium on their opener?
No.
Oh, want to go to Vegas?
I mean, it's not my favorite place, but I'll go.
How dare you? We just broke up live over Zoom.
What?
I love Vegas. Vegas is my favorite American city. So the scenes from Las Vegas, first of all, everything there is just pitch black. So the entire stadium is just pitch black. It sits right on the south end of the strip, right across from MGM Grand. Amazing. They had Steve Aoki, the famous DJ, out there hyping the crowd up. There was like explosions. I assume there was a monster truck somewhere in the area. It just looked like freedom. It was a football Sunday in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a great sports town too, by the way. Like, they absolutely, the first year that the Knights were there, that city, I was there for that one. The city just absolutely blew up. Like, Vegas is a great sports town because they haven't had any, because of the gambling aspect of it, they haven't had professional sports teams there for a long time. When they got the Knights there, they freaked out. People love the Raiders in Las Vegas, and that is a great destination. Like, hey, your team is playing Las Vegas. Okay, you want to fly into Vegas for the weekend, for a boys' weekend, and go watch a football game? Get out of here. That has got to be one of the best times.
That does sound like a good time.
It does sound like a good time.
I would lean more towards hockey. I think hockey is the best sport live to watch.
Oh, absolutely, hands down. If people, I don't understand why people in America don't like hockey more than they do, right? It's fast-paced. There's a ton of scoring. Fighting is encouraged, of all things. Like, when a fight needs to happen, two dudes just throw their gloves off, and the referees are like, okay, here we go. Everybody stand back. These guys are going to fight. And then they break it up. They're like, oh, this fight is over. You've won. You've lost. Both of you go to the penalty box. And that's just a break in the game. Like, why is that not more popular?
It's amazing. It's perfect.
I don't understand it. And watching it live, you're totally right. Fast-paced, it's rowdy, it's a good time. Good energy in the stadium the entire time you go. It's good. I don't understand it in America. I don't understand why you don't like hockey more.
Yeah, I don't know. It's imagine if like soccer players could stop and fight and slap at each other and not actually do anything, and then they just both fall down and start crying. It'd be a whole bunch of like.
It would be like. I can't imagine the most awesome thing that would be two soccer players that like hit each other. It'd be like a knockout, dual knockout, except it's dual flopping. Like, they both hit each other, and then both of them like hit the ground. Like,
it'd be like leaning back. Like,
my favorite one is when they do the thing when they cover their face, when they don't even get hit at all, and they just grab their face and they're like writhing on the ground in pain. I've had some pretty bad injuries. Not one time have I ever covered my face and then rolled around on the ground in pain. Maybe I'm a different dude. Maybe I'm not good enough to play soccer. Who knows? It's not a reaction that happens in nature. I'll say that much.
I mean, I hurt my knee pretty bad playing soccer when I was younger. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't think I covered my face.
Did you need to get taken out on a stretcher? Was there a prayer circle around you?
I did get dragged off the field.
Dragged? They didn't even have a stretcher for you. They just drag you.
No stretchers. Because I used to make fun of kids that would like get hurt and like roll around on the ground and be like, those Nancy's.
You used to
and
make fun of people for getting hurt. That's a great.
It's hard. It's
statement.
It's hard to explain how far I've come in life. Yeah.
I don't know why, but that seems like a good place to end it. Just because that's God, you have come far, and I want to end this thing on a good note. The most ridiculous of all time. Oh, well, Trent, this is a good one. We should continue to do these. We say it every single time. We should continue to do more of these, so I think we will.
We should.
Everybody, keep an eye out. We're going to have lots more of this YouTube content. It might just be two dudes talking. Nobody's going to watch this. I think this is more just for Trent and I. I think we just put this one out there because we want to hang out and we wanted to talk this morning. So hit us up with your DMs. Hit us up with any of the questions you got. Go to onceready.com and check that out stuff. We got a ton of new merch dropping all the time. YouTube is always, we're going to have a lot more YouTube content that comes out that's not on the podcast. So if you want to hear everything that One's Ready's doing between myself and Peaches and Trent and figuring out exactly what's going on in our world, pay attention to YouTube, like, subscribe, share, put it out there. And as always, train hard, earn each breath. I appreciate you guys coming out. Trent, as always, good one.
Yeah, bro. I'll see y'all later. It was fun.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye. Bye.
Bye.